Foley for the motion.
Mr. Speaker, I move for the adoption of the floor amendment.
Is there a second?
Mr. Speaker, I second the motion.
Representative, so what it is, first and second, a discussion, Representative Foley.
Mr. Speaker, the first thing I would like to point out about this floor amendment is that it actually increases the minimum wage above what the current bill, the original measure, is asking for, Mr. Speaker. And I've had some pretty lengthy and interesting discussions in regards to the minimum wage, Mr. Speaker, and what this floor amendment will do to actually help those in an industry that needs a little bit of help. While the economy of the state of Hawaii, Mr. Speaker, of course, we understand is in a little bit of difficulty, and the organizations that we're going to rely on the most here in the state of Hawaii, not only in the state but across the nation as a whole, to lift communities and people out of poverty, Mr. Speaker, it's going to be the private sector, and it's going to be our private sector economy. Mr. Speaker, owner of one of the restaurants here in this great state has raised some serious concerns with the current measure and has offered some proposals to make some ideas on how the bill could be improved upon to actually help the most amount of people. And the previous speaker actually addressed some of those in regards to how it's going to impact, especially those in the back. The measure as it currently stands would cost an extra, depending on how exactly it's distributed, anywhere between $120,000 to $200,000 a year. That's money that's going to actually go to the front of the line to those who actually receive the tips currently, because there is no tip credit, Mr. Speaker. That means that there's going to be less money, and that those who work in the back, the dishwashers, the cooks, and everybody else, are not going to be able to be paid more. So this measure is actually going to negatively impact one group while maybe favoring others. Mr. Speaker, I'm glad that that a previous speaker, the chair of Judiciary, raised the point that even if we did have somebody making $17 an hour, it certainly isn't going to be enough. And that I think, Mr. Speaker, that we need to listen to those who, in the private sector, who are saying this is exactly how it's going to negatively impact my business, and this is how it's going to negatively impact the workers that I currently have. The intentions are great, the intentions are noble, Mr. Speaker, but its impact in reality is going to be very different from what it is exactly we're looking to achieve. And in a state where we just downgraded economic growth to 0%, Mr. Speaker, I think those who are speaking to us from the private sector, I think maybe we may better serve the people of the great state of Hawaii by listening a little better to what they have to say and work together on creating and fostering an environment that will best serve especially those who are economically disadvantaged, Mr. Speaker. And this amendment essentially allows a penny-for-penny increase in the tip credit. It's a bill that actually helps us more closely follow what is currently being proposed in Washington, D.C., and even it's similar to the proposals currently put forward by President Obama, Mr. Speaker. And I think that this is something that would better serve our private sector, Mr. Speaker, and help us at least let the private sector know that we're listening and that we understand what their concerns are.
Thank you.